Uncertainty is a very complex topic, and it means different things to different people. It has got different levels. Essentially, there's what you might call controllable uncertainty. When we flip a coin or throw a dice or play roulette, we know what the probabilities are, and we can make our bets accordingly. But in real life, things are more complicated than that. Usually we don't know what the odds are about events, and we've got what you might call deeper uncertainty. As scientists, we often build models for how we understand the world works, and these models have got certain quantities in them, like climate models have got certain parameters that measure how we think the climate operates. And so sometimes we've got uncertainty about what those parameters are. But then we might also have uncertainty about the structure of the models. What influences what, and what mathematical representation can we use for those things. So we do have these different levels of uncertainty, and it's also quite important to distinguish uncertainty about future events, essentially unpredictability, the fact we never know exactly what's going to happen, from what we might call scientific uncertainty, or uncertainty in our knowledge, or sometimes called epistemic uncertainty. It means when we don't know, when we're ignorant. And that kind of uncertainty, which is what a lot of this meeting was about, in fact, about our scientific uncertainty, the fact that we don't understand fully what's going on, is a lot more difficult to handle, and of course requires some humility. I was talking in the meeting about quantifiable uncertainty, when we're willing to put some numbers which might express the probabilities of events, or even numbers that express our beliefs in certain things occurring, or our beliefs in the way the world works. But we can get into deeper levels of uncertainty where actually it's very difficult to put numbers on our ignorance, what we don't know, particularly, for example, what is not included in models. And climate is an excellent example, which includes many aspects of what will influence future climate, but some things the models just know they haven't put in, methane feedback cycles and so on, but which could be influential. So we have this sort of level of qualitative uncertainty, which is usually expressed as we haven't included that, but we don't think it would make too much of a difference if we did put it in. And so this is a tricky business to communicate to people, because it's not expressed as a simple number or a probability. Well, first of all, there are these different types of uncertainty, of course, and policymakers have to admit they can't predict exactly what's going to happen, and nobody can expect them to do that. The problem comes when policymakers know, or have to acknowledge that they don't even understand what's really going on. In all those situations, we know about BSE and swine flu and things like that, where there's a lot of real deep ignorance, in fact, about what was going on, and therefore what might drive the events in the future. So my personal belief, and what I was arguing in the meeting, which other people were saying as well, is that policymakers do need to acknowledge these deeper uncertainties. And that means the scientists having some humility about the ability for them to make predictions, and the policymakers taking that on board. These caveats, these qualifications, the actual inadequacies of the analysis have to be taken on board. Now, that doesn't mean, though, that you're paralyzed, you can't act. You still have to act, and they have to make decisions, even on the basis of these really deeper uncertainties that haven't necessarily been put into numbers. And of course what that brings is the need, as other speakers pointed out, for policies that are robust to possible errors, that are resilient to unexpected things happening, and that can adapt in receipt of future information which will change what we know. So it's a very delicate balance, but many people were arguing that policymakers have to take on board these deeper uncertainties and not try to brush them under the carpet.